Hi, my name is Jason Baseden. I'm in my fifth year as the director of athletics at Phillips Exeter Academy. Um, Prior to Exeter, I was at Petty School in New Jersey as athletic director for 5 years, and before that, the International School of Brussels in Belgium for 7, and 4 years at the American School in Paris. Before that, I worked in television. Um, I've been more recently just really our squash program has a very deep history here in the United States. We historically have been a big feeder school to a lot of the Ivy League schools, not only just because of our academics, but for squash, and just became very passionate about squash more recently, meeting individuals like Paul Asciante, who was the head coach at Trinity and Team USA for many years, and Vikram, who's a head coach at Dartmouth. I've just learned a lot about the game through them, and I've been able to travel to see the high school nationals here in the U.S., in Philadelphia, and more recently the World Junior Championships in Houston, and just I believe it's a fascinating sport because it's so tight knit, and I oversee a number of different sports here at Phillips Exeter Academy and in my previous schools, but I haven't seen a sport that has a community that's so tight knit and looks out for each other, very competitive. But it's also the beauty of the game is it touches all socioeconomic backgrounds, and just it's a very international game. And traveling to Worlds was fascinating, just because I got to see literally teams from all over the world, and the teams are small enough that there's a lot of intimacy and in between the coaches and the different clubs and organizations. Um, just a great sport. We're very passionate about the sport here at the school. I think we're one of the first schools in the United States to have squash, and we've got a storied past, and we're really looking to continue on that and really build our program towards the future.
Thank you very much, Jason. I think I really like this quote in your signature. If I may read, intelligence plus character, this is the true goal of education. If I want to tweak that into intelligence plus character, that is the true goal of sports or
Yeah,
squash. Do you think that
yeah.
still make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, what we do in sport is we teach life lessons through sport, and sport is the perfect way to help, especially the youth come along. You learn how to, set goals for yourself. You need to learn how to aspire for those goals. Sometimes you don't get them, creates adversity. You need to learn how to manage your adversity, and so it's just their sport comes with highs and lows, and really the social emotional development comes through experiencing those things and managing them, and so to help you, so you learn from mistakes. We've all
Yeah.
heard that we learn from mistakes, and we also learn from our successes, and so sport provides all of those. There's only
Yeah.
one person who ends up the champion of every sport, and so the thousands of others had a lot of wins along the way, but at some point, a loss comes, and we all have to learn from that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what the meaning in my signature is really about. Sports, educational athletics. We build character and life skills through sport.
Absolutely. I learned one thing from legend coach Mike Way from Harvard. He said, any sport, including squash, builds character, but also reveals character at the same time. So when
Yes.
I believe you have seen many, many students, when they are playing on court, you can quickly see, their intelligence unfold and their character unfold. That's exactly, I think you agree with that quote, from course, Martin Luther King, but also, you know,
Yeah, for
a
sure. I mean, especially a sport, when you get, I was an individual sport athlete. I was a track and field athlete. I played team sports as well. But when you're an individual athlete and you're stepping on that court and you're by yourself, it really is you in your performance. And it really is you if things don't go your way. And so a big part of sport where you're one-on-one in a court or anywhere on a track is, is how you carry yourself, with the wins or if things don't go your way. And that's kind of what I mean by the social emotional development. And so sport provides that real life opportunity. It's not something you're just learning in a book. It's actually happening. And so when in loss, you need to lose gracefully, and it's the same thing when you win.
Yeah, I really like the background of yours. See all those gears.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really a classroom, right? Really a life lesson classroom.
yeah.
Um, Maybe you can talk about what makes our school a good choice, for student athletes, especially for squash, students, athletes from global communities.
Yeah, for sure. I would say number one, we're a very strong academic institution, well established in education. Often, well, more recently, we were ranked the number one high school in the United States, and that's because of all of the things that we offer. We're not an athletic school. We're not just an academic school. We're not just a theater school. We really focus on developing the whole person, and we want to meet students where they're at. Um, so ultimately, the overall package that you get as a student and the Exeter experience is truly what it's about. In terms of squash, outside of our history, um, we're very fortunate to have 10 squash courts here on campus and a number of coaches. We actually have we've got some full-time coaches some are teachers and some come from the external. We also have some pros that come in and work with some of our students as well. And outside of that, we have first-rate strength and conditioning program. We've got amazing facilities with great coaching that do base level measurables via Hawk and dynamic force plates. So we get to really understand and help develop the student athlete. If there are imbalances in their body, we're able to find that via data and tailor programming to help them through injury prevention. Injury prevention is one of our main focuses. We want to make sure that our student athletes are constantly able to compete and able to train. And so if we're able to do through some of our technology and testing, we're able to see some early signs, then we can work with our coaching staff to basically tailor a program to get them up to be in the potential, get their bodies up to be where they're balanced and to prevent injuries and just make sure they're the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, this sounds very appealing to me because eventually a good athlete is developed holistically.
Yeah,
How they move, how they think, how they
yeah,
feel,
yeah,
the biomechanics, the body, the emotion, and all those technology, available in the world can help. I
yeah,
think that our school has those available and ready to support, our student athletes to develop. Especially, I think the
absolutely.
injury prevention is huge. It's a big
Yeah, for
deal.
sure. And we just have a strong culture, which is continuing to grow. We've got a very international team. I want to say our squash teams probably represent about 13 different nations. And as I said, it just the students come from all over the world, and it's also just like the sport around the world. It's a close community, so our squash community is very close here.
Absolutely. And also, lots of student athletes, they are keen to kind of join schools in the US, particularly high schools, because
Yeah,
they really look forward to join this high school squash league.
yeah,
I think you have experienced those league, see some
yeah,
tournaments, some players. How
yeah.
do you think those tournaments organized by our high school league system will provide to our students in their, sort of development as a student in general? How will those be valuable lessons for them in their school life?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, in interscholastic sport, that's how we're set apart. So one thing about in the United States that schools often have sports teams tied to their programming, and it's not like you have to go away somewhere else to do a club sport. In many cases, like you, we will have our teachers will also be our coaches, and um, so we're basically set up for this, and we're kind of also the reason why they call us prep schools is because we're prepping for college. So the idea being a lot of students look to come to a prep school to position themselves both academically and for whatever sport they play. And many times the sport is used as a hook to go to college and help open doors. And so here at Exeter, we're about we the last couple of years about 16 to 17% of our graduates a graduating class has gone on to compete in college. And I believe the national average is around 4%. So we are 3 or 4 times the amount of students here. And a big reason for that is when you come in here as a student athlete, you're already part of a group, and that collective group is all focused on getting better together because you know a higher percentage of students are even they like to try to use sport as a hook to get into college, and we're very fortunate that our coaches and our institution is well connected in the squash world. um, Coach Vikram and his Dartmouth coaches, they run their summer camp out of our facility here, and the students come, they stay in the dorms here. Um, and then they get coached by the best coaches, and so we've just got a great network. Our college office is well connected with the colleges as well, have great relationships with the admissions offices, whether it be the Ivy Leagues or other great academic sport leagues around the country. We're just well positioned, and the Phillips Exeter brand is well known the world over, but certainly to the high academic institutions in the United States.
Yeah, I met a squash parent yesterday in Cairo here. His son won the latest British Junior Open title.
Okay.
Very well, very solid.
Yeah.
And the question he asked me, and after many, other questions, is how do you know the school will support my son if he goes to the school that definitely his academic will be supported, no
Yeah.
question. But how
Mhm.
his squash will be supported? Is that full year or is that only one season? And how many hours will be in the training? So
Yeah.
can you maybe describe some of that so I can address to
Yeah.
this
So,
parent?
so I would say as a student that comes here, we kind of have a track. So, for example, if this student is interested in and wants to play squash at the next level, they would come here, and most likely our fall team they practice together. What's called captain's practices. So they'll practice. Some of our coaches will work with them individually. We have some outside coaches that come in and work with them individually. And then we have our season. Our season is the winter season, which basically starts from second week in November and runs up until the end of February, early March. And then during that season, they're in season. That's when we're competing in games and everything. And then the off season, what at Phillips Exeter, you have one of the 3 terms where you can just focus on, you don't have to be in a physical education class or on a team. And that's where our student athletes, they put a lot of their training in, and many times that's the season leading up to whatever their season is. In the case of squash, it would be the fall season. And then in the spring, they have to do something, whether it be a physical education class or another sport. But say if this person was just focused on squash, then they would do what's called choice format in the fall, and they would work with the squash team and the coaches and the strength and conditioning coaches for off-season training in the fall. Then they would play their season in the winter. Then my suggestion would be they probably choose a physical education class, which will be about 3 days a week, 50 minutes, but they could choose something, it could be tennis or something that they want to do. But then they have all of the other free time, the other 4 days a week, where they can work on their game. I'm a big, I feel like we have to be careful for overuse injuries and also the mental. You need a break. So that would be the term that I would say a little bit more of a focus of a break, because we know there's going to be tournaments all through the summer as well. And at this age group, the body's still being developed, and so I think we always have to just be careful with overuse injuries. And so that's how I would say that a squash player would approach an academic year here at school.
Yeah, I really like to hear that you've got that kind of a setup for them to not overtrain
Yeah,
on one
yeah,
particular sport year
right.
round,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that somehow is a risk factor for many
yeah,
junior
for sure.
players. Going back to a previous point on injury prevention,
Mhm.
but also, the mental fatigue, the burnout.
Yeah,
Again, you don't want to develop a junior player to be very, very skillful, but
yeah,
mentally burnout, which
yeah.
is, something we don't
And
want
it
to see
happens a
happen.
lot. I mean, I've seen a number of students who they've been so focused, and this might not just be a squash thing, it could
Yeah.
be any sport. And then they succeed, they get to college, and then they're there for their first year, then they're completely burnt out. We want to make sure our students look at, sport like squash. This is a lifelong sport. This doesn't end when you get to college or even during your college time. Like, this is a lifelong sport, and our hope is that they develop a passion for the game and build relationships through the game that, help them be a global citizen and something they play for decades beyond their education.
Yeah, I think the big thing now for some families, including maybe some of my own, like conversation at home, is like squash is a vehicle to carry you to different destinations.
Yeah,
It is not a destination by
right.
itself,
Right.
right?
It's a journey.
It's a
Squash is
journey.
a journey, and one that, really helps build relationships. If you think about it, I mean, life is truly about relationships, and squash is one where, you meet people well into your years, where, hey, let's go play. It could be at an athletic club. Um, Obviously a squash club, but a lot of the people I've met over the years have gotten to know each other from playing, whether it be golf, squash, racquetball, tennis, and it's just a great relationship builder. There's a lot of people that share this common passion, and the squash world is unique. A lot of people that are into squash, they're go-getters in the world, and so it's just squash can help open doors in so many ways.
Absolutely. So when you are thinking about recruitment for those talented student athletes from all around the globe, what are the sort of key attributes you kind of look for? Like, you want to say, hey, this is a good student, will fit into ours.
Yeah.
What is the top 3 or 4 things you kind of check out first?
Yeah, first, we're very fortunate at Phillips Exeter to be a need blind school, and what that means is a person's socioeconomic standing will not cannot does not impact their ability to be a student at the school. So we have financial aid for students all over the world, and it's actually part of our school's charter to basically support students coming here from all over the world. But the number one thing we look for is you have to be academically curious. There has to be a curious, academics have to be something of a passion. You're interested in learning about something in the world. And another thing at Exeter, we have so many different courses and clubs that we're probably going to capture somebody's passion, but you can really take it as far as you would like. And then it becomes the athletic side. We obviously we're a competitive team. We compete against other schools, so we look for individuals that one that have a passion about the sport. You know what I mean? We're not looking for finished products here at the school. We're looking to develop young people, and hopefully, if they start with a passion of squash, and through our support in developing them as young people, both physically and mentally, then they can become a competitive player that will be positioned to help us as we compete against other schools and eventually at nationals and hopefully and for some onto the worlds.
What I'm hearing is that I think, first of all, everyone is welcome to apply for,
Yeah, yeah,
regardless of your social economic status.
right.
But two key things. One is curiosity, academic curiosity or intellectual curiosity. The second one is their passion for a particular sport if they go
Yeah,
through this sports,
yeah,
application journey.
that's
Makes
right.
sense. Thank you.
Yeah, and so when we go through the process, there are many people that are that apply to the school. Um, and the admissions office and coaches are always looking for students with passion. How does that show up? How does that show up on the squash court? You know what I mean? How does that, what is the thing? What is the thing that you're into? And that's the main thing that they don't want to just look at somebody who's got the best grades in the world or their test scores are up here. They were here. We're looking for the full person. And once again, we're just looking for the passion because we're not looking for the finished product. We're looking for the passion to help develop that product. And
Yeah.
so that's an important message I want to get across, that it's about the passion. And if the
Yeah.
passion is there, the passion will show in the process.
Yeah. I learned something about curiosity is the motherhood for passion. If you're
Yeah,
curious, you probably can be more passionate about something, which is
absolutely.
going back to your first point of, the intellectual academic curiosity to learn, to improve.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
I introduced to you about Finding Squash. We're a global portal trying to empower clubs, players, and schools in general. We have, outreach to emerging markets like China, Korea, some Southeastern countries, and Egypt, which is the biggest squash,
Yeah.
in terms of number and skill level.
Mhm.
You may want to leave this interview by maybe a wish for us in terms of
Yeah.
Finding Squash to connect more purposeful, resourceful, and passionate junior players to check out US high school in
Yeah.
general, and maybe
Yeah.
our school in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I would just say our website is weareexeter.com. Weareexeter.com. And there you'll get a first look at who we are as an institution, but also I believe in the inside athletics space. If you scroll down, you can see there's an inquiry form. You should fill that out, and it just allows someone to know you're interested and you're thinking about squash. And our squash coaches will get that information, and they'll be able to contact you directly. But it's also important to know that our school is extremely diverse. I want to say our students come from 40 countries in I believe 38 states in the United States. And we have students from all the countries you mentioned and more. And our squash team is extremely diverse, and that's on purpose. We're trying to be, we are a school in the United States, but we're very much an international school, and we're made up of a very international community. Our teachers, our coaches are very international here, and we're just fortunate, people that have paved the way for us. 100, the school's almost 250 years old, have put us in a position with the resources we have to have the whole world, here on campus. And it's not only the adults, but the students that are really passionate about what we do. So yeah, definitely have a look at the website, and if there are ever any questions, you can absolutely contact me. We want to know you. We want to get to know you, and we're really looking to provide this educational athletic opportunity to students from all over the world. And squash is a perfect sport that helps feed our institution with those curious young people.